pounds and have an 11 o'clock tea time in the morning. So I looked at it and said, okay, what is my production per hour? Because I didn't even know. And I went back and I said, okay, you're at 600 an hour, 650 an hour. And Mark Morin, a good friend of mine, we lectured all over Canada, all over the US. But Mark, I was with him, we were up in Vancouver, Canada. And I asked Mark, I said, how much do you do an hour? He says, 900 an hour. I went, no way. It's impossible, no way. And so I was at a meeting. Actually, I was lecturing in Springfield, Illinois, and I was in a car with a guy named Russell Knight, who was a practice analyst. And we're driving to Chicago because there were thunderstorms. We couldn't catch our flight. So we rented a car and drove to Chicago because I had to do a program the next day. And this has been 17 18 years ago. And I'm driving down the road, and I had to ask this question. I said, Russell, how does Mark do 900 an hour? He said, it's easy. He just does $900 an hour procedures. And I went, I remember I just bought a Wendy's hamburger, and I just kind of munched on that for about an hour and a half all the way to Chicago, thinking, I didn't say a word, but it made way too much sense. I'm sitting here doing a $190 filling or a $210 filling, and it's taken me 45 minutes to do it. Well, I'm never going to do that. So I had a choice. I could either raise the cost of the filling or do it faster. And so I looked at every procedure I did in my business, and I became committed to productivity per hour. Now, I have to go back and say, it's all about relationships with your patients, but the business part of you has to know what's going on. And so I would look at those numbers, and within a month, I was doing $625 an hour. Within a month after I heard Russell say that and talk to Mark, I literally was doing $1,000 an hour. And of course, then I talked to Mark 3 months later, and I said, what are you doing? He goes, oh, 1,050. So we had a game for several years about how much we were producing per hour. And it wasn't about the production, it was about the game. It was about how much fun we were having doing more dentistry and helping more people. But I knew my numbers. So if I committed, predictive analytics means if you are in your practice and you're going to work 100 hours and you're producing $1,000 an hour, you're going to be producing $100,000 a month, or 1.2 million for the year. You know it, and you're committed to it. Now, what would happen to me is I would go, oh, I want to go to this course. Okay, I'm taking off that week. And then all of a sudden my production per hour would be screwed up for the month, and that would screw up my business. So what did I do? Well, I began predictive analytics. I began looking at my year ahead of time and predicting, this is the number of hours I'm working next year, and these are the days I'm working. Now, what if January comes around and I decide, oh, let's see, it's in July, I really want to take this course. Okay, I'm cutting it out. Or even a better story, I want to rent a yacht in the Greek Isles for 3 weeks. How am I going to do that? How am I going to do that? How am I going to rent a yacht and still do dentistry? So what I did is I did part of it in the month of September and part of it in the month of October. And I only worked, for the last 14 years, I worked 2 days a week. But what I did is I was only going to have to work 7 days, but I needed to produce X amount to reach my goal. So it kind of changed. It was now predicting that come September, I need to produce not 1,000 an hour, I need to produce 2,000 an hour because I'm working half as much. Well, how do you do that? Predictively, I would see cases coming in July and August that needed a lot of dentistry. And I would say, Mary, you know what we need to do? Let's get you in the last part of September. Let's get these gums healthy, and let's do this the last part of September. Why? Or the first part of September, not the last, because I'm going to be on a yacht in Greece. But so I loaded the schedule in first part of September, and I loaded the schedule in the end of October. And guess what? I reached every goal that we set, exactly what we set, because we predictively analyzed what we needed to do, and then we were 100% committed to the goal. I hope that makes sense. But it's, and we talk a lot about this in the course that we teach. And you can go to Productive Dentist, and you can put a / and foundations course. And so I'd love for you to do that. Another thing that we talk about in the foundations course is authentic marketing. And in the town of Granbury, Texas, where I practiced, our average new patient came from 70 miles away. Well, that's hard to believe that, we had people coming from all over North Texas. It was based on how we marketed. And at Productive Dentist Academy, we believe in marketing. We believe in marketing 8% of your budget, 8% of your previous month's collections. Now, what does that mean? Well, if you're doing $50,000 a month, you're going to be marketing how much? At 8%, you're going to market $4,000, and you're going to be committed to that. And I have a little different story when we're talking about a new practice or a new practitioner, somebody who's just getting started. But I'll share that in a minute. But 8%. So as my practice went from doing 50,000 a month to 100, and we've done this for 35 years, we were marketing before marketing was cool. Okay. After we went to 75,000, 100,000, we were now at 8,000 a month. 150,000, we're at 12. 200,000, we were, and eventually we were at 500,000 a month, and our marketing budget was 40 grand a month. This is in a town with 5 other dentists. I mean, I could have bought every billboard in Hood County. Wouldn't make sense. But what I did is something called authentic marketing. I don't market, and you guys get this stuff every single day. You go on LinkedIn. How many people tell you they're going to bring you 20 new patients on LinkedIn? I mean, I get 3 a day that say, hey, let me give you 5 minutes of your time and I'll show you how to get 20 new patients. I don't want 20 new patients. I don't want 100 new patients. When I opened in Granbury, we saw 300 new patients a month for the first 2 years. A full mouth exam for me was a mouth mirror. I had no time to do anything. I was working 75 hours a week with these, but I had debt and I wanted to see everybody. It was the one crown of a year club. I mean, what do you need to have done? What's broken? That's how I introduced myself. First of all, I would say, I'm so sorry I'm running behind. Then I'd say, how can I help you? That's all I would tell them. And so that's not the kind of practice I wanted to have. But as we began growing our marketing budget, I began marketing authentically to things I wanted to do, like sleep apnea, like dental implants, like LANAP surgery using the periolase, like same-day smiles. So, and you have to be careful when you start authentic marketing, because we were spending a significant amount of money, and I go up on the first tee box at our golf course, and one of my buddies comes up and he goes, hey, what do you think about my smile? I go, it looks good. I said, what'd you do? He said, I had veneers done. I said, well, why didn't you let me do them? He said, I thought you just did implants. I went, oh, shit. I said, no, okay, all right, bad. Boy, they look good. Great job. But what I realized then was I want to market to more than one. Unless I just want to do implants, I have buddies that's all they do. That's great. Just do that. If you want to do train wrecks, I do train wreck marketing. But be careful if you can pigeon yourself into a corner. Now, I know a lot of dentist buddies of mine, Kent Smith, over in Dallas, in Irving. Kent is, all he does now, 6-month smiles and sleep apnea. That's all he does. But he markets to that because that's what he loves. So you don't need massive numbers of new patients when you're doing authentic marketing. Now, let me go back to what we were just saying about a young practitioner. For the first 4 years or 5 years in practice, I would still, if I'm a practice owner and I've opened up a scratch start practice or even bought a practice, am I going to start with an 8% marketing budget? Here's what I would start with: an 8% budget. That 8% is going to go somewhere. Where is it going to go? That 8%, I would say 4% of that needs to go to education. Going to see, going to Michigan Implant Institute, going to COIS, going to see Arun Garg, spending that money. And what you'll find is you're gonna learn more, and when you learn more, you see more. So now all of a sudden you're able to help more people, which is, to me, the most fantastic thing, because now we're getting to help people. And isn't it true when you go to a course and all of a sudden you come back and you're like, holy smoke, You know, I went to Pat Allen's course in Dallas on connective tissue grafting. I can't even look at teeth anymore without thinking about connective tissue grafting. Well, that's the way dentistry is. And the more you learn and the more you see, the more you know. And guess what? Your treatment plans are going to be higher. It doesn't mean, Reader's Digest, that we're hosing people. It just means we know more than the dumbass who said, oh, they just need a cleaning and 2 fillings. Okay. And that's just the truth. So as a young dentist, for the first 4 years or 5 years, spend half of that budget on education. And at some point, you'll be producing so much more, go back, you not change anything. Now you're at your 8% budget. And that 8% budget is going to take care of you for your entire career. Because the more you do, the more marketing you have. And what I also love is the more productive you are, the more free things you can do for people. You know, I can help anybody. I mean, I probably would have one case every 6 weeks that a patient would come in, they would say, there's no way I can afford this. And I'd say, that's okay, let's just do it. I mean, I just would, because why? Because I knew exactly. I knew exactly where we were at money-wise. I knew I was blessed beyond belief, but I also understood, and I was a much better boss. I was a much better person at the office. I mean, so these are the things I want you thinking about. And that's really part of this foundations course that PDA is doing. And we'll have another course after this one. I think it's too late to enroll, but you might check with them and find out. And, you know, we'll go from there. We'll just see. So let's get Stephen on and let's see. This was a 18-minute job here. And do we have any questions?
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody who's participating with us here in the chat, if you just want to go down there and hit that Q&A tab, you can ask a question for Dr. Baird. Also, those of us joining you on Facebook, I know you're on a little bit of a delay, but I'll check back over there too and see if y'all have any questions.
Any questions here? Any questions here in our group?
Yeah, any questions from the peanut gallery? Herb always likes to give a little nugget.
We have a live audience. Yeah. We do. It's awesome.
Jerry Springer just left.
Jerry Springer just left. That's right. Yeah, we're good. We're good.
One of my biggest questions is, when it comes to the productivity per hour, how do you get the team involved and like getting them to kind of understand, like, hey, these are the types of procedures we need to do if we're going to hit these goals?
Yeah, I mean, that's a super question, Stephen. And here's the thing. It's always, I mean, I love having my team know exactly where we are business-wise. You know, a lot of people, oh, don't let them see any of this. Now, I'm not talking about individual salaries for people, but I'm talking, this is what we spend for salaries. This is what we spend for marketing. This is what the doctor takes home. This is what you take home. But we also have bonus. We have, this is how bonus is made. This is how this is made. For instance, with Productive Dentist Academy, all of our employees now are owners of the company. They get to see all of the numbers. They get to know exactly where we're at. We formed an ESOP and we sold part of the company to our employees. I love that. And you're going to see that more often, even in dental offices, but they can't own. So it'll have to be a little different type structure than an ESOP. They can't own the dental practice, but in some states they can. But I like being totally transparent. Why? Because they think if you produce $100,000, that it all goes in your pocket. When in fact, you might make 20, or 10, which ain't bad if you're making 1,000, but they know your commitment. Kind of like I talked about last week, the integrity that you have to not overcharge people for things, the integrity that you have to do the right thing always is the thing that gets a team behind you. And that team then becomes part of it. If we do more, you do better. If we reach this goal, we all go to Hawaii, which we did. If we reach this goal, we're all going to Mexico. And we don't have to do a course. We're just going to Mexico. We're drinking tequila and we're going to party for 4 days. Or we're going to go to a seminar in New York. I took 19 women to New York, me and 19 women. Most of them had never been north of the Red River. They had never been north of the Red River. Some of you have heard this story, but I mean, they're like, I gave them each $200 to spend on them, not their family, not getting t-shirts for kids, just on them. They only had to go to 1 hour. We stayed at the Marriott Marquis, which is the nice hotel on Times Square. We had front row to the producers, all of us on the front row. I mean, we ate dinner at Tavern on the Green. I mean, it was beyond. And I had patients going, man, I wish I worked for you. I said, no. They earned it. We set goals and they earned it and they deserved it. They came outside of Tavern on the Green, and I've got 19 beautiful women dressed to the nines. We're all headed to Broadway. And I see these guys standing around. There's like 5 guys smoking cigars, and they're all saying stuff, and they're starting to talk to my team. And I was freaking out. I said, okay, girls, come on around. Come on. And they all came around me. I said, all right, now go out there and make daddy some money. Like that. And you talking about cigars dropping out of guys' mouths, they were like, holy smoke, is that, we all laughed and went to the car. But that's the kind of attitude, that's the kind of fun you want to have in your dental practice. So that's me in a nutshell there, boys and girls. So.
100%, because I've gone on things like Smiles at Sea and even PDA, these things, and I'll see these people who bring these large amounts of team. And I'm like, how do you get everybody down there to say, look, I have aggressive goals and I have aggressive rewards, and we put this up and we say, hey, in 6 months, if we hit these numbers, then we're going to go on a trip. If not, then we're not. And then you talk to those teammates and they just they understand the dollars per hour and everything, and they have a real sense of ownership. And it's the difference between like LeBron James playing by himself or like the old Dallas Mavericks team is a big unit, everybody was a real contributor. So, I mean,
good analogy. It's
the truth. It's good stuff. You can't, the dentist can't be scrambling in the pocket like Russell Wilson all day. Gotta get some key players out there to kind of make it happen. No, but that's perfect. The other thing too is you kind of mentioned some of those marketing calls. I actually got to hear the other side of a story the other day. So a marketing firm that actually delivered implant patients to a practice, and they kind of gave the script. And then I heard the call of the team member calling the patient, hey, are you interested in implants? Yes. Hey, and they got stopped up on an insurance question that didn't seem crystal clear in the team member's hand. So basically they were like, oh, okay, well, we can't help you, goodbye. And that was an implant case that just basically got walked off because the team member maybe didn't know all the proper pathways. Like, we have a care credit, we have a compassionate finance, we have options for somebody who wants to get in that chair. And that's what you always do. If they're here and they're in the chair and they need the dentistry, you're going to get it done. You're going to get it done. I mean, the chances of you leaving without us helping you somehow is pretty low. And so that's just part of what we do. But we couldn't do, when we start talking about these huge production numbers, it's about having a great team. It's about having a great trained team. That's what it is. I mean, if I took away, well, I'll give you an example. Many of you know I hung up the handpiece a year ago. My partner, Jeff Buski, who's been my partner, we've been partners for 15 years, a phenomenal dentist, just phenomenal. And he was always producing X amount. And when I put the handpiece up, he was now in charge. He took my 4 assistants that I had, delegated his to associates, and his production doubled overnight. And he was like, wow. I said, man, why didn't you train yours like that over the last 15 years? You know what I mean? It's like, so train your team. Take the time. It may take you an hour 1 week. It may take you an hour a week for a while. But pretty soon you're spending 30 minutes a week. Then you're spending 15. Then you don't have to do anything. You're awesome. So it's all good. Yeah. The other thing you mentioned too about younger dentists coming in, getting that education, and then turning that into practice as it goes along. Doing a 6-month Smiles course, doing a Kent Smith sleep course, adding orthodontics, adding all these different categories, because just from a patient standpoint, convenience truly is king right now. So if I can go to one roof and understand that you can do the veneers, you can do what I need done, I'm going to be a lot more likely to do it, because I think sometimes in patients' heads, they think they're getting shipped from one guy to another guy to another guy, and they're just wondering how they're going to take off another day's work. So I think like being upfront and just letting them know you can do all the work there is important too.
You bet. You bet. All right. Well, you guys go to productivedentist.com if you're interested in the course. We filled up this course. We filled up the one previous to it. I'd love to have you there. It's a neat course because not only are you learning the material, it takes you about an hour a week, but then every week, Thursday night this week, we will have, it's an hour, hour and a half, where you're on with your peers, and we break you up into groups, and you get a chance. If you're a new practice, if you're new in practice, we kind of team you up with other people, along with our coaches and with our group. And there's nothing like peer-to-peer learning. I mean, I love learning at the cocktail receptions. I love learning at the bar. I love learning, just waiting for the seminar to start. That's where you really can do well. So feel free to go. You can talk to Stacy at productivedentist.com. Send her an email if you want more information, and just let us know. Thanks. Off to watch hockey.
Yeah, absolutely. I got my Stars hat here. Hopefully we will force a Game 7. And I will not force you to use the free trial I'm going to send you for Compassionate Finance, but do go ahead and click that link and check that out along with the information for Productive Dentist Academy.
Yeah, we are sponsored by Compassionate Finance, of which I didn't talk about at all tonight, but go to the site and look at stuff.
If we're talking about production, we're always talking about Compassionate Finance, because it is a key. It is that play in your playbook that's going to help you get it done.
It's going to get you pandemic proofed, so you'll be good. So thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. See you next week.
All right.